If you are watching our video for the first time, then subscribe us and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jesham had always been fascinated by the supernatural. He read everything he could get his hands on about ghosts, demons, and jinns. His friends always made fun of him, but he didn't care. He knew that there was something out there, something beyond the realm of our understanding. One day, Jesham stumbled upon an old, decrepit building. It was rumored to be haunted by a jinn, and the locals all avoided it like the plague. Jesham couldn't resist the urge to explore, and so he decided to investigate. As he entered the building, he was struck by a sudden sense of dread. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, and he knew that he wasn't alone. He could feel something watching him, lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, he heard a whispering voice in his ear.
"Leave this place,"
it hissed, "or suffer the consequences." But Jesham was determined to uncover the truth. He pressed on, his heart pounding in his chest. He felt a cold breeze brush past him, and he knew that the jinn was near. And then he saw it. A dark figure standing in the corner, watching him with glowing eyes. It was the jinn. Jesham knew that he had to act fast. He reached into his bag and pulled out a talisman that he had purchased from an old mystic. With all his might, he recited an ancient incantation. The jinn let out a blood-curdling scream. And for a moment, Jesham thought that he had won. But then the jinn spoke. It said,
"You have no idea what you're up against. I am ancient and powerful, and I have claimed the souls of countless mortals before you. You are just another pawn in my game, and your resistance is futile. You may have banished me for now, but I will return, and when I do, I will have your soul."
"I may be just a mortal, but I will never give up my soul willingly." Jesham shuddered, but he knew that he couldn't back down. He would continue to study the supernatural, and he would be ready when the jinn returned. He left the building, feeling more alive than ever before. Over the next few weeks, Jesham became obsessed with learning everything he could about jinns. He read every book he could find, talked to every expert he could find, and spent hours on the internet researching. Finally, he found what he was looking for: an old manuscript that contained an ancient incantation, a ritual that could summon a jinn and force it to do the summoner's bidding. Jesham was ecstatic. He knew that this was his chance to defeat the jinn once and for all. He gathered all the materials he needed and performed the ritual. The jinn appeared before him, a towering figure with glowing eyes and a voice that echoed like thunder.
"What do you want?"
The jinn asked. Jesham replied, "I want you to leave this place. I want you to leave this world and never return." The jinn laughed. It said,
"You are a fool. You cannot banish me. I am eternal."
The jinn snarled, its eyes flashing with anger.
"You think you can defeat me? You are nothing but a mortal, and I am a jinn. I have powers beyond your comprehension. You cannot even begin to imagine the depths of my strength."
"I may not have your powers, but I have something you do not have, a conscience. I will not stop until you are banished from this world forever." But Jesham was not deterred. He recited the incantation again, and this time the jinn's eyes widened in fear. It began to back away, trying to escape, but Jesham was relentless. He continued to recite the incantation, and the jinn began to shrink and fade away. Finally, it was gone. Jesham collapsed to the ground, exhausted but victorious. He had defeated the jinn, and he knew that he was now a true master of the supernatural. From that day forward, Jesham became a legend in the world of the paranormal. He traveled the world, investigating haunted houses, exorcising demons, and banishing jinns. and he always carried with him the talisman and the incantation that had saved his life and given him power over the supernatural. After the jinn was banished from the old building, life seemed to return to normal for the locals. But for one family that lived nearby, strange occurrences began to happen. A young girl in the family, named Aisha, began to feel a presence around her. At first, it was just a feeling of being watched, but soon she began to see shadows moving in the corners of her eyes. She heard whispers and felt cold breezes even on warm days. Aisha tried to ignore the feelings, but they only grew stronger. She began to have nightmares about the jinn that had been banished from the old building. She would wake up in a cold sweat, feeling as though something was watching her even in her own bedroom.
Mom, Dad, I can't take it anymore. I think there's something in the house. I've been having nightmares about the jinn, and I feel like something is watching me. I think there's a shadow ghost in the house. I've seen it in my dreams. It's like a dark shape that moves around the house, and I feel like it's trying to get me.
Her parents tried to reassure her that it was just her imagination, but they too began to feel a sense of unease in the house. Objects would move on their own, doors would open and close, and strange sounds would echo through the halls. Finally, they decided to seek help. They consulted with a local imam who was known for his knowledge of the supernatural. He performed a series of prayers and rituals, but the strange occurrences only seemed to intensify. As a last resort, the imam suggested they reach out to Jesham, the legendary paranormal investigator. Aisha's parents were hesitant, but they were desperate to bring peace back into their home. Jesham arrived at the family's home and immediately sensed the presence of a jinn. He began to perform a ritual, reciting an incantation that would banish the jinn from the house. I banished you once, and I will do it again. I will find a way to rid this world of your presence once and for all. The jinn put up a fight, but Jesham was determined. He continued to recite the incantation, and finally, the jinn vanished. The family was finally at peace once again. However, it's important to note that attempting to summon or banish supernatural entities can be extremely dangerous and should not be attempted without proper knowledge, precautions. It's always better to err on the side of caution and avoid potentially harmful situations. In any case, Jesham's story serves as a reminder that there are many mysteries in the world that we may never fully understand, and that it's important to approach them with respect, caution. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.